Final send off, the last video. After this, we are done, and you guys are free for the summer. I but I did promise you one last class, so here we go. And by the way, this is about entrepreneurship, so I'm thinking you would like it. I read a book by Michael Gerber called E-Myth, and it's really, really good. I think it applies to all of you guys. Who's Michael Gerber? Basically, he's a legend in entrepreneurship. Um, he's sort of a small business guru. So the reason why this book is good, even though it's a little old, it's very good because it's basically focused on the businesses, like the ones that you guys are trying to create. And it basically says that the E-Myth is everybody thinks that these entrepreneurs are a force of nature, you know, risking it all to change the world. And the reality is that most businesses are really very good technical people that had an entrepreneurship seizure and ended up launching a business. So someday you were really good at baking cakes and somebody told you should do a catering business and or a bakery, and you were really good at whatever, and they told you should launch a business. And that is not necessarily true. So what ends up happening is that you really have to kind of have a business, what he calls a business development process, which is innovation, quantification, and orchestration. And that, you know, that sounds very generic. But what I've discovered is that in order to innovate, and this is now my opinion, in order to innovate, you guys need to focus on your stakeholders, but you have to treat everybody like clients. You have to treat your customers like clients because they are. You have to treat your collaborators in your team as clients. You have to treat your shareholders as clients. You have to treat society, the world, as clients. And if you look at everybody and you treat everybody as clients and you put their interests first, and you always try to solve their problems and doing well by, you know, doing good and all these things, you will innovate. Because let me give you a quick example. You know, your client has a challenge, and in order to really help them with that challenge, you have to innovate a product or service. Your collaborator has a challenge and they can't make it to work, or the pandemia or whatever, and you innovate processes and procedures. So you're innovating internally to help your collaborators because you're treating them as clients, and you're basically innovating externally towards your clients because you know, you're innovating products and services to solve the real problems. That's kind of like the key. And then if you look at your providers, you treat them as clients instead of taking very arrogant pose that many companies take. It's just like, I'm your client, I'm buying from you. Like, no, what are your problems? How can I help? And if you solve your providers' problems, oh my God, the innovation on products and R&D on product development is unreal. And so think about that. And but you know, I'm gonna now that I've basically talked about the innovation component, I'm gonna focus for the rest of this presentation on the quantification and orchestration, which is sort of like the manager and the technician. So basically, these three areas, the author says that are three roles that live within each of you. So within each of you, there's an entrepreneur, a manager, and a technician. And sometimes the problem is that, you know, you need to work on the business, not just in the business. A lot of you are working in the business, and just by working in the business, you're making changes, and then you have partners, and then it grows, but you're not working on the business. Working on the business is fine-tuning the business model, fine-tuning what makes you unique versus your competition, fine-tuning. It's like a bonsai tree that you're clipping every day, And you're basically trying to get the most out of your customer experience, your customer journey, your systems, your processes. So all these innovations, you're focusing on, working on the business. And working on the business is the technician. If you look at the bottom, the entrepreneur is the why you do it, the vision of the future. The technician is what you do, the core competency. So knowing how to make amazing cakes. But the manager is the person that's working on the business, creating an amazing customer experience around building and consuming healthy sweets that is efficient, effective, consistent, and repeatable. Because come on, at the end of the day, you really need to treat your business as a turnkey solution, as a franchise. You have to think franchise. And that's why it says here, franchisor a franchisor is the entrepreneur, the technician, and the manager. Why? Because even if you only have one location or one business, you still need to think about it as a franchise, because that's the only way that you're going to work on the business, that you're going to work on the manuals, on the processes, on the procedures, on the systems, on the incentives, to really, at the end of the day, you should be taking, as a manager, you shouldn't be putting your hands in. You should be taking a step back and letting the ecosystem work itself out. And kind of, that's what I try to do this semester, with you guys, and creating the right environment so that you guys would want to do the videos and do these things and send the feedback. And so that's why at the very beginning, I changed the incentive. It's not about the grade. All of you got great grades. By the way, the grades are ready, but don't leave this video to go see your grades. Wait 2 more minutes. So basically, there are 3 people within you: the entrepreneur, which is the vision of the future; the technician that's getting things done in the present; the manager that's building a franchise system around getting things done consistently. Because everybody says, oh, I do a great hamburger, but none of those people can have, even if they do a great hamburger better than McDonald's, they can't do 100 billion hamburgers, better than McDonald's. That's the challenge. That's why it's consistent. It's the system. And actually, you need to design the system to be able to run on normal people, not amazing people like you guys, normal people, because most people are normal. Most people aren't amazing, and gifted like you guys are, because you are the 1% of the 1%, no? And so when you design the system that you guys create, the franchise, the components, the business model, the manual, the procedures, the systems, the processes, the first mover advantages, and all these things, and how you use technology to do that, that needs to carry the business, not the people that you hire to actually run it. So if you expand this going forward, that means that in terms of a functional view, the entrepreneur is molding the present to get to that future vision. That's why I think entrepreneurs tend to be frustrated with our current environment, because it doesn't. They're trying to see how they can change it in order to take it to that future vision that they already have and that most of the time they live in. The technicians are really, it's the heart of the business, and it's the core competency. And the managers, they build a factory that build the heart of the business. So if you continue expanding this view and you look at the challenge for the entrepreneur within you is to be comfortable with risk and uncertainty, motivating the troops living in the present to go up the mountain and inspiring them to make it happen in spite of the obstacles and upsets and all these things. The technician's challenge is to be they tend to be product centered, and they have their own learning agenda. So the problem with the technician is, if they're baking cakes and all of a sudden they go somewhere and they discover this new ingredient, now they want to put the ingredient into the cake. They don't care what the clients want. They care about what they're learning and what they can bring to the table. But that's the challenge, because you know, the challenge is to be client centric. So, and that's where the manager comes in. Sometimes you have to, the manager has to make it customer centered, customer driven. And that's why, at the end of the day, even though the technician is the heart of the business, the manager is very, very important because it needs to be, basically tied together at the hip. If not, the technician starts going haywire. And if you look at it from a driver perspective, which is the last view of this building set, the control over building the bridge and solving the creative tension, that's what the entrepreneur is all about. They have vision A, vision B of the future, that creative tension, solving that and creating that spark, that eureka that creates that light bridge and that crosses you over. That's basically what the entrepreneur lives for. The technician is really about rubber meeting the road and orchestration and execution. And the manager is all about KPIs, looking at the KPIs from the past in order to make the future predictable. So they're all about planning and organization. So you need all three roles. You need all three roles. So some of the problems that people face are, this is very common, but you need to work on the business while you work in the business and when you're a startup. And then when you're established, you can't be also always working, um, when you're established, you cannot work in the business at all. You need to work on the business and not in the business. But there's also a watch out. This watch out is very interesting. At some point, you can't let go of the entrepreneur altogether, because if you're a manager for too long and you're working on the business, then you're also not looking at how the world is changing outside. And when your vision of the future is compromised or static, that's when you get hit. You get blindsided by another company. So you always have to keep on working on impossible issues to solve for your client, society, and not on the business all the time. So I think that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. I hope that you guys, I wish you well. You need all three roles, and many of you are going to be tremendous entrepreneurs. I love your business plans, your debates. It was a real treat being your professor. So thanks so much. And thanks for the feedback. I want to show you guys how the course is going to look like for future generations, thanks to you guys. And you guys did a great job on the feedback. I'm going to add a whole thing about the future of Mexico. We basically moved Sandy Pentland to the data, the data sections, and we moved what's her name, Amy Webb to the CRM section, and we made the robotics longer because many of you, weren't turned on by that, but a lot of you were just completely like, oh my God, it was like the best, blah, blah, blah. So we're expanded robotics now with a lot of the videos that you guys sent. So now it's robotics part 1 and 3D printing, and robotics part 2 and drones. So we separated that. We're also gonna add up videos about the future of Mexico and the Hispanic market, the U.S. Hispanic market. I keep telling you guys about chasing markets and chasing China, but the U.S. Hispanic market plus the Mexican market is actually almost a $4 trillion market, larger than India. So before you guys venture to China, make sure you take a look at the U.S. Hispanic market, because there, it's really funny if you think about where revolutions are made. And I think that this will be, oh, by the way, just before I give you my final thoughts, also one of the things that changed, thanks to you guys, is that now all the business plans are going to be video pitches as well. So in addition to doing the business plan, you're going to pitch it on video. You guys did great on video. As you can see, this whole course is video. So I guess you guys like video, and we have to adapt to your likes and tastes and the generational changes. And so I am moving with all of your suggestions. And we're also going to expand the political views and the a lot of you wanted more, the impacts on politics and society of this technology, and the ethics, the injustices, the social injustices that are being created as a result of AI. So that's basically that. And so to finish off my final thoughts, it is definitely about how you use the technology, to further society, to make the world better. That's really what's going to create the innovation. And I think that if you guys just focus on that and try not to basically veer too far off, keeping an eye on China, you guys will be great. In terms of the Hispanic market, the revolutions, if you think about what Mexico needs for its future, revolutions are created, it's going to be the 65 million people or the 40 million people or the 50 million, whatever the number is by 2030, that are under the poverty line. Those people are going to execute the revolution. But the revolution is going to be run by the middle class and the upper middle class. And normally, here in Mexico, we keep saying that layer is almost disappeared. But the truth of the matter is that the real upper, middle and upper middle class of Mexico lives in the United States. The U.S. Hispanic market has basically, they send 40-50 billion dollars a year. That's just a few percentage points of what they actually generate. They generate over a trillion, close to $1.5 trillion. Think about that. That's the group that has progressive ideas. They've been influenced and shaped by a different set of values. They look at business differently. They have a whole different angle on education, on equality, on equity. And so I recommend that you stay connected to that U.S. Hispanic market, because Mexico does need a revolution in technology. They need a revolution in ideals and leapfrogs. The Mexican dream needs to be updated. I keep wanting it, instead of buying a house like the U.S., it needs to be like to launch a business and to change society and that kind of thing. So, I heard once that there's two people that come to this world: the people that use it to the max and maximize it, and then the people that leave it better than they found it. No? So I hope that you guys use technology and AI and all the knowledge that you guys now have to do the latter. And please, continue making recommendations about this course, and let's stay in touch. And you guys know my LinkedIn, and you guys know my phone number, and good luck to you. Have a great summer for those of you that are just going out and coming back for the semester. And for those that are done, my hat's off to you. Congratulations, and have a great career. You guys are going to do great. Take care, and it was a pleasure having you guys as students.